ever just, order a pizza and think, man, I wish I could just tell the AI to whip me up a culinary masterpiece.
Yeah.
Like, we're talking gourmet 5-star, blows your mind pizza. But then you remember, talking to AI, it isn't always
right.
as easy as it sounds.
Yeah, definitely not.
And that's where today's deep dive comes in.
Okay.
We're going to unlock these secrets, all these secrets of AI prompting.
I like it.
And we're doing it with AI specialist Jonathan Kyle Hobson.
Okay.
And he's got this knack for breaking down these complex AI concepts into something we can all understand, even if, we don't speak binary code.
I mean, that's great, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Not all of us are, programmers or whatever.
Right, right.
He makes it accessible.
Exactly. And, one of the things I really appreciate about Hobson's work
Yeah.
is that he doesn't treat AI like it's this, mysterious force that's only accessible to, a select few.
Right, right.
He really emphasizes that anyone can learn to communicate with AI effectively.
Yeah.
And in one of his articles, he uses this brilliant analogy. I think you'll like this one.
Okay.
He compares AI to a professional kitchen.
Right.
And, you can order off the menu, sure.
Of course.
But if you want to, really tap into its full potential.
Yeah, you need
to learn how to speak the language.
You got to speak the language
of the sous chef.
Right, exactly.
And that's where this whole idea of prompt engineering comes in.
I'm with you, yeah.
It's like you wouldn't just go into, a Michelin star restaurant and just shout food at the chef.
No. You'd be laughed out of there probably.
Right.
Yeah, you'd be
escorted out.
Yeah, you'd be escorted out.
So, Hobson argues that prompt engineering is really that key to unlocking those AI flavors, those aha moments where it goes from being just this, cool tool to a truly collaborative partner.
I like that.
And I think that's a really powerful way to think about it. And this is where I think the idea of prompt literacy comes in, right?
I mean,
he talks about
that.
How important it is to develop this literacy if we really want to, harness the power of AI.
For sure.
So, I mean, it's not just about,
right.
knowing
There's more nuance than that.
How to use AI.
Yeah.
It's about understanding how to communicate with it.
Right.
In a way that gets us the results we want.
Yeah, I like that. It's like learning a new language in a way.
It is. It's like learning a new language.
Yeah.
Like how to...
But it's not a spoken language.
Yeah.
It's like a communication language.
Exactly. And it has its own rules and syntax and
Totally.
So, okay, so let's dig into this prompt literacy thing a little bit.
Okay. Yeah.
What are the basics here?
So Hobson breaks it down, right? He says there are these 3 main types of prompts.
Okay.
Reductive, transformative, and generative.
Okay.
And, each of these has its own sort of strengths.
Okay.
It's kind of suited for different tasks.
Gotcha.
Depending on what you're trying to do.
Okay, so let's break those down.
Yeah.
Let's start with reductive prompts.
Okay.
What's their deal?
So think of reductive prompts as your AI Marie Kondo.
Okay.
They excel at decluttering information and getting to the heart of the matter.
Okay.
Imagine you have this mountain of data, right? Meeting transcripts,
right?
Research papers, you name it.
Yeah.
And you need to condense it into a digestible summary.
Okay.
That's where these reductive prompts, they really shine.
So it's like having an AI assistant that could just
that's it.
Cut through all the noise and
stuff.
Give you just the essential takeaways.
Yeah, exactly.
That's pretty cool, actually.
It is. And it saves you so much time.
Right.
Yeah.
Especially if you're someone who, deals with a lot of information on a regular basis.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Researchers, analysts.
Students,
yeah. Anybody.
Yeah. Anybody who has to do a lot of reading and summarizing.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So, yeah.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
So, okay, what about transformative prompts?
Okay.
What kind of magic can those do?
So I think of those as the chameleons of the prompt world.
Okay.
They're all about change.
Okay.
Taking information and then presenting it in a new form.
Okay.
So you need to translate a document into another language.
Right.
Or maybe convert a table of data into a visually appealing chart, or even take something super technical and make it digestible for a non-technical audience.
Gotcha.
That's where the transformative prompts
That's cool.
They really come in handy.
So it's like having an AI assistant that can, like, switch hats.
Yes.
Depending on what you need.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's really versatile.
It is. That's what makes them so powerful.
Very cool. Okay, so we talked about reductive. We talked about transformative. Let's talk about, like, the rock stars.
Okay, here we go.
The ones that get my creative juices flowing.
Yeah.
Generative prompts. What's their superpower? What do they do?
Okay. Generative prompts, those are the idea powerhouses.
Okay.
It's all about creation.
Okay.
Taking like a spark of an idea and then like turning it into something tangible.
Okay. Okay.
So you need help brainstorming new product features.
Yeah.
Drafting a blog post from scratch. Maybe you're like totally stuck on a creative campaign. You need a catchy tagline.
Right. Generative prompts can help you with all that.
Wow.
And more.
That's pretty incredible.
It is.
So it's like having an AI brainstorming partner who's always like full of fresh ideas.
That's a great way to put it. Yeah, always full of fresh ideas.
And I feel like, especially for anyone who considers themselves a creative person,
right?
That's got to be like...
It's like having another mind in the room.
It's like another mind in the room that can just like help you get unstuck.
Exactly.
If you're feeling, creatively blocked.
And sometimes it's those like unexpected connections that come out of those brainstorming sections.
That's where the magic happens, right?
Exactly.
That's so cool. Okay, so we've got these different types of prompts.
Right.
But how do we know...
That's the question.
Which one to use and when?
Right, exactly.
Like, how do we choose the right tool? It's like having a toolbox, right? You have all these different tools, but you need to know which one to use for the job.
Right, exactly.
So I think this is where it becomes really crucial to understand how AI actually like processes information.
Okay.
Hobson draws this fascinating parallel between how we learn as humans and the way that AI models are trained.
Okay.
And he uses this framework called Bloom's taxonomy.
Oh, Bloom's taxonomy.
Yeah, have you heard of that?
Yeah, I feel like that rings a bell.
Yeah, it's like from school.
Like way back in the school days.
Yeah, exactly. But it's interesting how it applies to AI too.
Okay, so how does that apply? I'm drawing a blank.
Yeah, so basically, like, you know how, like, in school students, we progress through these different levels of understanding?
Right.
Like, you start with just remembering basic facts, and then you move on to, like, understanding concepts, applying them, analyzing, evaluating. Yeah. AI models are kind of similar.
Okay.
They're trained to operate at different cognitive levels.
So it's like AI has its own learning curve, kind of.
Yeah, exactly.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, it is.
So how do we use that to our advantage?
So let's say you have an AI that's primarily trained on like remembering and understanding information.
Right.
It's going to be really good at tasks, like providing definitions, summarizing texts, answering factual questions.
Okay.
But if you ask that same AI to like analyze a complex philosophical argument, or like compose a sonnet, it's probably going to fall flat.
Yeah, it's not going to do so well.
Yeah.
It's not trained for that.
Exactly. So it's all about like using the right AI for the job based on where it falls on that Bloom's taxonomy spectrum.
I like that. Okay, so understanding the AI's strengths
and
limitations, that's huge.
It is.
This is all starting to click now.
Good.
But I have to admit, it's also a little humbling, to think that AI might have its own version of this learning journey, just like we do.
It's pretty wild when you think about it.
It makes you wonder, like, what else is AI capable of?
It really does. And you know what? Hobson doesn't shy away from that at all. He dives into one of the most fascinating but also potentially controversial aspects of AI. And he calls it AI hallucination.
Okay, now that sounds both intriguing and a little unsettling.
Yeah.
I'm picturing like...
I know, right? Like rogue robots?
Yeah, like rogue AI robots.
Yeah, going off the rails.
Like going on these like wild goose chases.
Yeah.
So what do we mean when we talk about AI hallucinating?
Okay, so it's not quite as dramatic as a robot uprising.
Okay, good. I was a little worried for a second.
I know. But in the world of AI, when we talk about hallucination, we're talking about when AI generates outputs that aren't actually directly supported by its training data.
So it's like AI is going off script.
In a way, yeah. Like, it's making things up.
It's making stuff up.
Yeah. But here's where it gets interesting.
Okay.
Hobson argues that these hallucinations, they're not always a bad thing.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
He actually sees them as a potential source of AI creativity.
Wait, hold on. How can something that sounds so unpredictable be a good thing?
It's a good question.
Especially when we're talking about, AI, which we tend to think of as like logical and data-driven.
Yeah, exactly.
So how is that a good thing?
So because it's in these moments of like hallucination that AI can kind of like break free from the constraints of its training data. And it can generate these truly novel ideas, concepts, solutions that we as humans like might never have even imagined.
So we're not just talking about AI like regurgitating information that's been fed into it.
This is like next level stuff.
It's coming up with completely original ideas.
Yeah, it's like it's taking what it knows and it's like riffing on it, It's pretty amazing.
That's both exciting and a little terrifying at the same time.
Yeah, it's a little bit of both for sure.
Because like on the one hand, it's like, wow, that's incredible.
Potential is huge.
The potential is huge. But then on the other hand, it's like, okay, but how do we control this?
Right.
Like, how do we make sure it doesn't...
That's the big question.
Go too far.
Yeah, how do we keep it in check?
Yeah, exactly.
It's a double-edged sword, for sure.
It is. It is.
It has the potential for, like, incredible innovation.
Yeah.
But also potential risks.
Right. Right.
We have to be careful.
We can't just, like, unleash it and hope for the best.
No. We need some guidelines.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So before we dive deeper into that, I think it's important to kind of, like, unpack what causes these hallucinations in the first place.
Right, yeah. Let's do that.
So what causes these AI hallucinations?
Yes.
Is it like just
a good question.
Random glitches in the system?
Yeah, it's not exactly random glitches.
Okay.
You see AI models, they learn by identifying patterns in massive amounts of data.
Right.
And sometimes, in their quest to like make sense of the world, they stumble upon these patterns that aren't actually like real or meaningful in the human sense, right? It's kind of like I don't know if you've ever like looked at clouds and like seen shapes.
Yeah.
Like your mind sees a pattern.
Right.
Even though it's just a random formation of like,
it's just, water vapor.
Exactly. So it's like AI is kind of connecting these dots that aren't meant to be connected.
Gotcha. So it's making these leaps in logic.
Yeah, and it's in those leaps, right, that the hallucinations happen.
Right.
And Hobson actually, he breaks it down into two different types of AI hallucination that are relevant here. He talks about spontaneous pattern generation and speculative generation.
Okay, so let's unpack those.
Okay.
Starting with spontaneous pattern generation.
Sure.
What is that?
So imagine you're teaching an AI to paint.
Okay.
Right? Like in the style of Van Gogh.
Okay.
And you show it hundreds and hundreds of his paintings.
Okay.
And then the AI, it takes those cues, the brushstrokes, the colors, the themes, and it generates something totally new. It's never been seen before.
Okay.
But it's still like distinctly Van Gogh-esque.
I gotcha.
That's spontaneous pattern generation.
So it's taking what it's learned and it's like riffing on it.
Exactly. It's AI's way of saying, I see what you did there, and now I'm gonna build on it, explore some new possibilities.
That's so cool, though.
It's really wild.
It's like artistic interpretation, but like
right.
from an AI.
Like, where does it end?
I know, right?
It's really fascinating.
Okay, so that's spontaneous.
Yeah.
What about speculative generation?
Okay, so for this one, imagine you're asking an AI to design like a new type of chair.
Okay, a chair.
Yeah, you give it some basic parameters, right?
Right.
Comfortable, ergonomic, aesthetically pleasing.
Okay, yeah.
But instead of just like
churning out like slight variations on existing chair designs, the AI, it goes a step further. And it starts like speculating about the future of furniture.
Okay, so it's thinking outside the box.
Totally.
Of chairs.
Yeah, it's like, what if chairs could also do this?
Yeah.
Or what if they were made of this?
Yeah, right.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, so it can lead to some really like out there ideas.
Right. Yeah.
Some of them might be brilliant.
Yeah.
Some of them might be completely nonsensical.
But that's kind of how brainstorming works.
That's true. That's true.
Sometimes you have to...
You got to get the bad ideas out.
Yeah, you got to get the bad ideas out.
To pick the good ones.
To get to the good ones.
Exactly.
But I do see where, like, with AI... It's like, how do we, where do we draw the line?
Exactly. Yeah. It's a slippery slope.
It's this unbridled creativity, which can be amazing for like brainstorming and really like
pushing the
boundaries.
For sure.
But then it could also go off the rails.
It could. And that's where I think, Hobson really emphasizes the importance of human oversight.
Right.
Like, we can't just let AI run wild with these hallucinations.
You can't just like trust it.
Right. We can't just trust it blindly.
To always make the right decision.
Exactly. Because it doesn't, it doesn't have the same...
Doesn't have argument
or ethical compass.
Right.
Doesn't understand...
Or even like...
real world consequences.
Yeah, the consequences of some of these like...
Exactly.
idea that it might be generating.
So we need to be the ones to kind of like separate the wheat from the chaff.
Okay, so it's about like using our own judgment.
Yes, absolutely.
To kind of guide the process.
Guide the process, provide that oversight, and make sure that it's actually aligned with our values.
So how do we do that?
That's a great question.
Because it's easy to say.
Yeah, it's easy to say.
Okay, we need human oversight.
Yeah, be careful.
Be careful, don't let it go too far.
Right.
But like, how do we actually like...
So practically speaking,
do that.
Hobson talks about this idea of grounding.
Okay, grounding,
Yeah, and this is essentially like providing the AI with like a solid factual basis.
Okay.
Like a set of anchors to reality, even when like you're encouraging it to be creative.
So it's like we can give it a playground?
Yeah, like a sandbox.
But the playground has like fences.
It has boundaries. Exactly.
Yeah, okay, I like that analogy.
Yeah, so for instance, like if you were asking an AI to write like a historical fiction novel, you might want to give it like a detailed timeline of historical events, key figures, cultural nuances,
to make sure it's not like
to ground it in reality,
making stuff up.
Exactly.
That would be bad.
We don't want the AI to rewrite history.
No, not yet.
Not yet. Yeah, that's a whole other can of worms.
We don't want to open right now.
Right, exactly. So, okay, that's grounding. What else?
So another thing is this idea of corroboration.
Okay, so corroboration.
Yeah, and this is basically like encouraging the AI to double check its work. To like cross-reference its outputs with reliable sources. And to kind of like flag anything that seems off or unsupported.
So it's like fact-checking itself. Yeah, kind of like a built-in fact-checker. Which is really important.
Yeah, that's huge.
Especially with these hallucinations because...
because it's...
They can be so convincing.
And if you don't know how it arrived at that conclusion...
You're like, whoa, where did that come from?
Yeah, and you might just take it at face value.
Exactly.
Because it sounds...
It sounds plausible.
Yeah, it sounds plausible.
But it might be completely made up.
But it could be, yeah.
Exactly.
Completely inaccurate.
So transparency is also key here.
Transparency.
Yeah. Like, we need to be able to...
We need to see
like
the AI's work.
How it's getting there.
Yeah, like how it arrived at a particular output.
Right.
So we can,
So we can understand it.
Yeah, and identify any like...
and if there's like potential biases.
Inaccuracies.
Or if it's just, completely made up.
It all comes down to trust.
Right.
Like building trust.
Yeah, because if you don't trust it.
Yeah, if you can't trust it.
Then what good is it?
Then it's useless, basically.
Right, exactly.
So we have to be able to trust but verify.
Trust but verify.
Yeah, that's the name of the game.
I like that. This is all like
it's
incredibly fascinating.
It is.
But it's also like a lot to wrap my head around.
Yeah, it's a lot to process, for sure.
It's like we're on the cusp of something truly groundbreaking.
Yeah, it feels
with AI.
Yeah.
But it's also like we're figuring
it out as we go.
We're figuring out the rules.
Yeah, mapping the rule book. as we go.
As we go along.
It's exciting.
It's really exciting.
And a little bit scary.
And a little scary.
All at the same time.
Yeah, and I think that's...
I agree.
I think that's a good...
It's a good place to be, I think.
Place to be.
Yeah, a little bit of, like, healthy...
Because if you're not a little afraid...
You're not pushing the boundaries enough.
Exactly. Exactly.
So I like that sense of, like, cautious optimism.
Yeah, I think that's the right approach.
Yeah, because we've talked about, like, all these potential benefits.
The potential is huge.
The potential is huge.
Yeah, but we also need to be aware of the risks.
Right.
We can't just ignore those.
It's throw caution to the wind.
Exactly.
So speaking of potential benefits,
yes,
I'm really curious to hear about, like, some real-world applications of this.
Okay, yeah, for sure.
Because we've been talking very...
Yeah, we've been kind of in the weeds.
We've been in the theoretical.
A little bit, yeah.
And I want to...
Yeah, let's bring it down to earth.
Bring it down to earth a little bit.
Make it practical.
So Hobson talks about AI being used in UX design.
Yeah, that's a great example.
And I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, it's a really interesting field because it's like...
Because it's all about... That's a very practical application.
Yeah. Good. Creating those user-centered experiences.
Right, of AI.
Yeah.
So what's the big idea there?
So imagine a world where AI can help you create, like, detailed user personas.
Okay.
Generate design ideas even, like, write UX copy.
Wow.
And you can focus on, like, the more strategic stuff.
That sounds amazing.
It's pretty cool.
Like, that's the dream, right?
It is.
So it's like having an AI assistant that can take care of all the tedious tasks that take up so much time.
That no one really wants to do.
That nobody wants to do. Yeah. And then the designers can focus on...
the fun stuff.
The creative stuff.
The big picture stuff.
Right.
That's really cool.
Yeah, and it's not just about efficiency either.
Okay.
Like, AI can bring... fresh perspectives to the design process.
Yeah, because it can see things that...
It can see things that we don't see.
Right.
Because we're
biased by our own experiences.
Biased, exactly.
Exactly.
So it can look at, let's say, all your user research data.
Yeah, like your interviews.
And your surveys, whatever.
Yeah, usability tests, all that data.
And it can find patterns.
And connect the dots.
That we might miss.
Exactly.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
And then... give you those insights.
Yeah, it's like having, like, an AI co-pilot.
I like that.
That's helping you see things from...
yeah, giving you a different perspective.
A different perspective.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
And again, it's not about replacing human designers.
Right.
Right. It's about that collaboration.
That's been, like, the theme of this whole conversation.
I think that's where the real magic happens, you know?
Right.
When we can find that synergy.
Right, right. So we're not talking about replacing designers.
No, not at all.
We're talking about...
it's about augmenting.
Augmenting, yeah.
Human capabilities.
Yeah, making them even better.
Exactly.
At what they do.
It's like giving them superpowers.
Yeah, I like that. AI superpowers.
Yes, AI superpowers.
Okay, so this has been
fun.
Such an eye-opening deep dive.
It has.
We've covered so much.
Yeah,
from, like, the nuts and bolts of, like,
with all the nitty-gritty
prompt engineering to, like, the mind-bending possibilities of AI hallucination.
Yeah, it's been a journey.
It's a lot, but it's fascinating.
It is. It's exciting times.
It is.
For sure.
But, you know, as we kind of wrap up here, I want to, like, bring it back to this idea of prompt literacy.
Yeah.
Because you mentioned that earlier.
Uh-huh.
And I think it's so important.
That's essential?
It's essential for anyone who wants to, like, thrive in this AI-powered future.
Yeah, if you want to, like...
because it's coming, whether we like it or not.
Yeah,
right?
it's not going away.
It's not going away.
So we might as well embrace it.
So
learn how to use it.
Learn how to use it to our advantage.
Exactly.
So what does that look like?
What does it look like?
Like, how do we actually be more prompt savvy?
Okay, so
I like that, by the way.
Prompt savvy.
I'm stealing that.
Go for it.
I like that.
So I think one of the, like, most important things is, like, really understanding the why behind your prompts.
The why.
Okay. Like, what are you actually trying to achieve here?
Right.
Like, what is the...
what's the end goal?
End goal.
Yeah.
What kind of response are you hoping to get?
Okay, so be clear about your intentions.
Yes, be crystal clear about what you want, because the clearer you are, the better you can guide the AI to give you that outcome.
It's like giving someone directions.
Exactly.
You wouldn't just be like, take me somewhere interesting.
Right. You'd get lost.
You'd be like, I want to go to
you need a
specific place.
Yeah.
And maybe
some landmarks along the way.
Take this route or whatever.
Exactly.
So it's about being specific.
Specificity is key.
Yeah, specific with AI.
For sure.
And also, like you were saying, providing context.
Context is huge.
Yeah, because if you just because
AI doesn't know what you're talking about
random prompts
unless you give it that background information.
It's not going to know what to do with that.
Exactly. Right. Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, so give it examples.
Define key terms.
Define those terms.
Define those terms.
Okay, I like that. So really treating AI not as this
magical black box.
Yeah, a partner in crime who just
but a partner that
needs a little bit of guidance.
Needs a little bit of hand-holding sometimes.
A little bit of direction.
Yeah, I like that. It's been
fun.
So fascinating.
It has.
Yeah, I feel like we could talk for hours about this.
We've just scratched the surface.
But
I think this is a good place to kind of
leave people wanting more.
Leave it, yeah.
Right.
And hopefully our listeners are now inspired to
go out and explore and do their own.
Yeah, play around with AI.
Deep dives on AI prompting.
Yeah, exactly.
So a huge thank you.
Yes,
to Jonathan Kyle Hobson.
Yeah, great material.
For providing such insightful
as always,
and thought-provoking material.
Yeah, he's a great thinker.
He is.
And a great communicator, too.
That he is.
Which is key for this stuff.
Absolutely.
So,
and to all of you out there listening, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
On this journey into the world of...
the fascinating world of
AI. Until next time, keep exploring.
Keep those prompts coming.
Keep asking questions and keep pushing the boundary.
Don't be afraid to experiment.
Of what's possible.
Exactly.
With AI.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is great.